Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe, and you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's, and thanks for checking out this latest episode. While you're here, also follow us on these social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. Thanks for checking us out.
But, we can't talk about everything. That is what it is. But it's time for the interview show, Gabe. Time to reset.
All right, you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's and Weekend Gabe. The Real Sam Crane joining me to my right. Don't forget to follow us on these social medias, Weekend Gabe, Weekend at Gabe's, and The Real Sam Crane. And if you want to be incredibly nice, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to us as well. We post new shows every morning the day after our shows. Sam has been fantastic about getting those up on time. And also, if you missed any of the news segment, head over to our Facebook page and you can find it there tomorrow morning. So we got you covered. All right, we missed them for DJ Week, but we are so glad that we're able to regroup and get him back on the show. One of Chicago's best DJ, also known as the Lemon Pepper Legend. We're going to get into all that because I am a fan of wings, so I'm pretty sure there's a great story behind that. It's a pleasure to introduce DJ Cymba of Huey joining us here tonight on Weekend at Gabe's. Good evening. How are you?
I'm amazing, man. How you feeling?
Good. Thank you for giving us your time. I'm glad that we can reschedule with you. Lemon Pepper Legend. Where is the origin of that story? Go.
Obviously in the name of DJ Cymba of Huey, I'm part of another collective called Huey Gang. Huey stands for Headstrong Urban Educated Youth. And around the time that, I was inducted into said collective, there was a multitude of us from different parts of the city. So, obviously being from Chicago, if you're from out south, you rocking with Harold's. If you're from out west, you rocking with Uncle Remus. I'm from out south, and I ate Harold's for a very long time, but something about Shark's lemon pepper took over my soul, and I fought for it for so long. And it kind of became a joke after a while within the collective of like, this is the lemon pepper legend, because he's the only one that cares about lemon pepper. And to be fair, this is years ago. So now to see years later that people actually appreciate lemon pepper in multiple stances is amazing on my end. Like, I was right from the beginning, but I don't want to say that. So I'm going to just take a humble seat and remain the lemon pepper legend.
That's great. I'm so glad that you brought up Huey Gang, and I'm sure that this story has been told a million times from a million different angles.
Right.
But I want to get your unique take. What did it look like for you? Because I've met, I think, 3 out of 4 of y'all. You would be the third. And every one of y'all got an interesting vibe. All of you guys would make great music. But what did it look like from you? Did you join on sort of at the end? Did they have to jump you in there? What was going on?
Right. So that's the running joke that you got to get jumped in, blood sacrifice, any of those things. You saying that you met 4. There's about a strong 58 members of Huey Gang, jokingly and also probably not jokingly. I feel like I haven't even met every member of Huey Gang, just because it's definitely very community based. But it was around the time. So I was teaching myself how to engineer. I met Huey Gang obviously on an open mic scene about 4 or 5, maybe actually 6, 7 years ago. Dropped out of college, didn't know what to do when I came back home. Met Huey Gang at these open mics. Huey Gang was actually hosting the open mic at Harold Washington Library. The first floor of Harold Washington Library is called U Media, right? So right. Every Wednesday, U Media would have these open mics hosted by Brother Mike, RIP. But Brother Mike, before he passed that open mic down to Huey Gang. So as I'm like trying to figure out what it is that I'm trying to do, I'm working these super weird ass jobs, and basically trying to like finesse back into U Media, because once you leave high school, you're not supposed to be in there. But because of my time that I was in there during high school, the staff and the faculty, they really rocked with me, and they helped me basically create an opportunity for me to learn how to engineer on my own. So at some point, because I was taking those steps, I ended up becoming the youth mentor over the studio that would teach kids how to use the studio. In that same time, Huey Gang was hosting the open mic like in that same space. So they didn't have a DJ. And eventually I'm like, well, U Media has the equipment. Nobody just knows how to use it. So it was about like a small controller, about the size of an Xbox controller, like super small in size. But these little fingers just ended up working, and I ended up figuring it out. And after a while, the open mic became more and more successful on a weekly basis. And after, having multiple conversations with the guys, getting closer with them, creating these intimate relationships, it was like, man, like, do you want to be a part of Huey Gang? It's like, yeah. Yeah, man. Shout out to my brothers, man. That's I don't know how many you've met, but Lawel Stark, Monty Lockwood, man, Bob, Hefe, Kato, Dirty, also known as Solo. Like it's literally a length. It's a list. It's a list.
Your story is a great example of why like after school matters. All these after school programs are just so important for kids, as high school students especially, to just learn a skill, something that they're interested in, something that they have a drive for. What would you, if you didn't have U Media, what you said you were working like these weird jobs. Do you feel like you would have fell into that trap of just like rotating between jobs and just sort of floundering a bit?
Part of me does. I'm not. That's actually a great question. I was told you guys are great interviewers, so I appreciate this question. No, that's really valid. I think a part of me always, like in my soul, never really rocked with like 9 to 5s. Like at that time, it's because you're young. If what I'm saying, you just graduated high school and college might not be for you, so you either gonna try to go down that lane and submerge yourself in loans to try to make it happen, or what your parents said, you either got to get a job or you got to go to school. And it was like, well, I tried school, didn't work. So I truly don't believe that I probably would have fell into the, rotation of like a 9 to 5. But I'm knowing me like that at that time with the mindset that I had, I probably would have, like just naturally, because we all have to survive. Like everything,
right.
Money is what we need, unfortunately, to, move about in this world. So if it wasn't going to be at the time, I think when I was working at U Media, I was working at a temp agency. I was working at a factory, 12-hour shifts, like 7 at night to 7 in the morning. The worst job ever, like ever. So
yeah, no, I feel you. But you also did the rap thing, man, because I went in and dug up some old ciphers from Cymba. You got some bars, man. Like, is there any scenario where you feel like you could get behind the mic again, or is the decks where you're more comfortable?
I tell people this all the time. Respectfully, I like to not call myself a rapper. I have fun. I think everybody should, explore different things, right? Because majority of my friends are just artists. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard not to be influenced by the greatness that you be around. Like these guys can freestyle. They can make hit songs. They can make personal songs. They can make songs that you never thought they could make. You know what I'm saying? So it is very inspiring, but I take a back seat to that sometimes, or a lot of the times, like 90% of the time, only because the way in which that they sharpen their craft and to become better, I don't want to call myself a rapper. And, they're actually dedicating their lives to this art form. Would I get behind the mic? I mean, time will tell. That sounds real mysterious, but also like that's honestly not where intentional energy is being put. But also like in certain spaces, I've recognized that, it's cool to just make songs with your friends. But if we being a buck, DJing pay the bills. So I'm not giving that up no time soon, like at all. But as far as rapping go, I mean, I usually, because, you guys are new to me. This is a new experience. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but for the most part, anybody that asks, I don't know what you're talking about. Rapping.
So there's, like you said, there's like 58 members in Huey Gang. I'm pretty sure there's quite a few DJs in there as well. So how did you kind of carve out your space and your own identity amongst this group of talented people?
Well, actually, I was the first DJ. I was the
really
first DJ of Huey Gang. Ironically, a lot of people don't know this, but Stark, he really like can handle his own weight when it comes to DJing. That's definitely like a fun fact I don't think too many people know about. His little brother, Dirty, he just had a birthday party back in July. He released a Sorry for the Dirt too. It was a mixtape. So we had like a little birthday / release party for him. And it was a situation where I couldn't be there the whole night. So I had to like dip out. And because this is family, it's like, yeah, like we just set it up to just DJ and I'm just DJing and it's like, yo, I got to dip. And I'm like, so who gonna DJ? Do I put on a mix? Do I like let somebody aux it up? And Stark just took over. And when I'm walking back to the house, like I didn't already handle my business. I probably dipped off for like an hour and Stark had the whole thing still going, like perfect transitions. Like you'd be surprised. But he's a natural born killer when it comes to touching some decks. So yeah, I was definitely though just the first DJ though. Like other than me, there's nobody else that really DJs.
You spoke a little bit about intentional energy in that realm, and what I think is like most impressive for you is that it seems like every underground event that I pop out to, it's always you behind the boards, and I'll be trying to like introduce myself and say what's up, but then I'd have to literally get on stage, and that's not where I'm comfortable. That's not the place to be. But you talk about like seeing that intentional energy pay off. What was that moment for you where you were like, oh, this is working?
As far as DJing?
Yeah.
It was right around the time I probably got inducted, I guess, into Huey Gang, and it just started picking up like wildfire. Like it was the same experience for me, but at the beginning. So like to see my name on all these flyers, I was constantly being booked at these like parties, shows. And the one thing, like when I first started DJing, I didn't really have a style. I just felt like the job needed to get done. And in saying that, there was a certain style that I was given, but I wasn't aware of it. So essentially, when I first started DJing, I would just play hits that I knew everybody knew, and it was gonna just make the party rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, knew it didn't matter. But then after a while, once I started seeing like, yeah, that burns out quickly. Like you do a party, they give you an hour set, like that hour flies by when you just playing hits that everybody knows.
Right.
And then probably like right after that time where it's like, yo, there's this era where like you couldn't go anywhere without seeing my name on a flyer. And then like after a while, it was like, yo, now you're getting 2-hour sets. Now, you're thinking about creating your own events or curating your own events. What does that look like? Like what type of DJ do you want to be? And I think that's when the intentional energy went into like trying to find what it is my sound, I guess, defines as. So like now it's definitely is less, how can I put it? As a DJ, you have to appease the crowd, right? Like that's your job. This is customer service,
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to trust me as the conductor of this train to like lead you into these different things. So one thing that I do now is like, essentially I call it spiritual trap. I love digging back to oldies and then just trying to transition or mix it in with something that everybody is aware of that's like happening right now. But it's like time travel, essentially. Like that's the best way I can put it. But to put it in like, I guess, a certain, under a certain label is definitely like spiritual trap. Like something that makes you feel it in your soul, because music is multiversal. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of music that plays on your heartstrings, make you feel different things. If I play Kirk Franklin, a lot of people just go back to like, those Sunday mornings when your parents had to beat you to basically get up so you can go to church. Or if I play, Franklin, or if I play, I don't know, the Beach Boys, it don't matter. Like it takes you back to this certain point, you know what I'm saying, that you remember wherever you probably first heard that song, or the most important place in your memory where you first heard that song. And then to mix it with something that you're absolutely comfortable with right now. So that was like the switch where it's like, yo, I have to create what it is my sound is, because I can't just keep skating by like playing, the raging hits. Like after Hard in the Paint and a couple Lil Wayne songs and, a couple Burton songs, you kind of shot. And I felt that pressure behind the board. Like, what else do I play? I feel like I played everything. And it's like, nah, it's so much music, bro. Like it's impossible now, being six years in the game. Like music is still being made, and I still haven't caught up on like all the music that I know to intertwine into what it is that I do. So
I think you can add that title to your name: DJ Cymba of Huey, Lemon Pepper legend, time traveler, not a rapper.
Time traveler. That's actually a project. Thank you. You finna get full credit on a
we've been having for our Thursday Thummies, we have comedians come on, and this is kind of a question that's been ongoing about like how do they prepare for different crowds. So you have your north side crowds, which more are predominantly white. Your south side crowds are more predominantly black and brown, and mostly everyone agrees that they go into it with a different set than they would do normally. Did you kind of have to plan around that depending on where you're going to land at, or do you just make them convert to what you're playing?
To be completely honest with you, I believe it's both sometimes. I think naturally as a DJ, or maybe I'm not going to speak for all DJs, for me, when I walk into or before even going into the space, learning your environment, right? So I'm not going to go into someone's grandma's 70th birthday banquet ready to play City Girl. Right? Like,
you're not playing hard in the paint in that event?
Really? Wow.
But knowing that you can have both of those though. So like being prepared, if we're up north, like you said, it's a predominantly maybe white bar, going in a more diverse sense, you know what I'm saying? Like not probably being comfortable, because what I do is I don't really prepare sets at all. Like I pretty much freestyle every set. I just have like a set.
Do you prepare crates like within those sets? No, nothing.
The only time I prepare crates usually are for my own events. So like anything that I'm curating, that goes back to like intentional. Like I need you to hear the wordplay in this transition. I need you to hear the tone play in this transition. I need you to hear what this transition sounds like intentionally, rather than like, damn, I just did that and like I don't even know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's more intentional in those spaces. And the only time I use crates is like for performances. So if there's an artist that asks me to DJ for their set, obviously I have to have that in order. The crates kind of give me order, but like outside of that, in any event that I'm getting booked for, is really just learning the environment and playing the wild card or basically freestyling at hand, but still learning the environment though. So like if we're in a club that is probably predominantly used to listening to probably like EDM, I'm still gonna play whatever I actually want to play, but lean more to that, you know what I'm saying? Or if it's a club that probably is more predominantly straight R&B, still gonna play what I want, but like know how to lean into that, like different events calls for different things. So like even for tomorrow for this paint and sip, probably not gonna go too hard on anything rage worthy, but like definitely set a vibe. You got your Erykah Badu's, your Ari Lennox, and not just R&B solid, but like even going older, Sade, some 90s music, like something that just creates a vibe. Like it's very important to know the vibe and make that the intention before going in. But also,
and that's when you mix in hard in the paint. Like,
exactly. Hey, it's not a paint until somebody plays Waka Flocka. That's
like last Sunday, I think I was up north in Wicker Park, and it was debonair, and like it's definitely outside of my quote unquote comfort zone. But the more I got comfortable, the more I saw the crowd get comfortable. So like I was telling people, they was asking me, like I felt like an NBA player after a game. Like people came up to you like, yeah, how does it feel? Or like, what was it like? I'm standing there feeling like, like LeBron after sweating for 4 quarters, like, man, the first 30 minutes was tough. I had people following me down. And I was real. Like the first maybe 20 minutes of the set, I had an hour set, but like the first 20 minutes of the set, I felt like I was trying to appease people so much. And they just looking at me, waiting for something amazing to happen. And I'm like, I thought this is what you guys wanted. I'm overthinking. And now I get comfortable in the bag. And now you're hearing Earth, Wind, and Fire over Soulja Boy. And it's like, it doesn't make sense, but it sounds amazing. Promise you.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought up Wicker Park because all of this sort of came to a head a couple of weeks back at Wicker Park Fest with the great thinkers, with Mother Nature, who you are now the in-house DJ for them. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talk about preparing for that set, because that was a little bigger than some other shows that I've seen you do. But was that correcting your mental going in? Was that really getting in tune with Mother Nature to know like what the vibe was throughout? How did you prepare for that show beyond putting shit into crates?
Right. But also though, like not downplaying that though. Like that was just as much as important as everything else. I don't think it was just solely me preparing for that thing. It was all of us being in alignment about it, understanding what needed to be done, what was the points that needed to get across, and the energy in which that we wanted to convey. So a lot of preparation, a lot of rehearsals, a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And I guess the scene that I've had common conversations with, they just feel like they don't have to rehearse, you know what I'm saying? And that's valid depending on what type of art that they're trying to get across. But like rehearsals definitely make things go a lot smoother. It becomes second nature. It's like this muscle memory within you. And it creates this habit, a good habit, you know what I'm saying? So that way in which that when it's time to actually execute, you're not using as much of your mental, it's really just flowing, but flowing in an organized way. So it wasn't just a me thing prepping for that. It was definitely all of us being in alignment to know what it is that we needed to do, what was the goal, how we can best execute that goal in the time frame that we had, and to give people a great show.
And how did that relationship develop with Mother Nature to the point where, was it just like you did a show with them once and then it was like, no, it's got to be you for the rest of the time? How did that relationship develop there?
All right, so story time, right?
Story time.
Go ahead.
So I've told the story multiple times. This is probably the first time you guys are hearing it, right? Mother Nature saved my life. That is the title of this essay. And this essay I will further prove, right? But essentially, Mother Nature did save my life. I was in a bad situation, a bad relationship that kind of like really went south. I ended up being like homeless for a little bit. And prior to me actually getting to know Mother Nature, Mani, who was a part of Huey Gang, he had conducted a few Huey Gang meetings at their, old home. And I wasn't like, being fully aware in the moment of who they were, where I was. So fast forward, I'm in the gym. I'm sleeping on bus stops. I'm damn near feeling like I'm losing my mind. Still having gigs to go to and damn near not knowing how to even like finesse that, right? But after a while, I had just prayed, I think one night, like super, just trying to like tap in, like still feeling like I'm going crazy, but also like talking to myself. So I don't know, it's a thin line between that gray area. And I remember walking down a familiar street and I was like, yo, I feel like this is where them girls stayed. And I rang the doorbell. Motherfuckers answered the door. I was like, yo, I'm down bad. It was like, yo, we'll talk about it in the morning. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, like dead middle of the night. We talked about it the next day. They opened up their house to me like with loving arms. We built these intimate relationships over the years. But even in that time frame, it was more so like, yo, like what am I gonna do? Like I don't even know like living wise what I'm gonna do, let alone career wise. But then they found out that I was a DJ. I think one of their homies, Langston, he's a visual artist, so he had a show, I believe, in Wicker Park, and I ended up DJing that, I think, and then like DJing something else in that space. Not too long after that. So they was able to witness like what it is that I do. And mind you, again, that's very early on. So before I actually developed a sound and it's just being straight skill based, they understood like, man, you really talented. We would love to like work with you further. And that's kind of like how that relationship started building. So having the shows, learning more about them, getting more intimate with them as far as like having an understanding of what it is that they're trying to do and what it is that I bring to it, and us trying to find a balance in what those resources look like on both ends. So again, them saving my life and then me trying to, give them damn near I'm indebted to them for the rest of my life because of said situation. So.
Before we get out of here, I got one, Sam, I know you probably have one more quick question, but before we get out of here, one quick question. What does it feel like to be in front of a crowd, to lead the crowd through this, sort of music journey and seeing that response and that reaction? What does that do? Like you kind of hinted at, it like feels like a 40-point game from Jordan or from LeBron, but when you're in the moment and you're and I think, was it Scully, Sam, who just says like, I just want to see a booty shake from girls. That's all I care about.
Yeah, Scully said you just want to see the booty shake.
But like, what is something like you like? What is that feeling like to see people like really vibing with you, whether or not they're dancing or head nodding or putting their arms in the air? What is that like?
Scully, man, he stole it for the rest of us, right? while that is important, yes, like I think naturally, me personally, I'm not speaking for no other DJs, but for me personally, not even just the concept or the complete concept of just ass shaking, but people enjoying themselves. I think not too long ago, I tried to, again, intentional energy, right? Creating the mindset that I know for me personally, I'm an introvert. I personally don't like, going to parties or popping out, or I'm trying to get over that now, like balancing that, because it's like, yo, I want people to enjoy themselves in my shit. So like, I got to learn to enjoy myself in any environment. So one thing that I can say is like, just truly seeing the joy in which you bring to people in any space. So whether that's people shaking ass, whether that's, somebody that's like looking like they're the most bored person of all time. They can't possibly have fun. And you play the one song that pulls them off the wall, you know what I'm saying? Or like those moments is like really what matters to me, to know that, to know that at any point in time, you probably, you have to like, I guess, subconsciously through music, get the message across of like, if you didn't come to have fun, you're not going to have fun. But if you came to have fun, you have to take your cool off at the door. Like you have to release all of these like stresses that like once you came into this space that I'm DJing now, this is no longer the world. Your bills don't matter. I'm not saying your kids don't matter, but whatever stresses that you've had before walking into this space, let that be that interaction. Let that be the energy. Like you need that hour, 30 minutes, however long I'm spending, you need that in order to like recharge yourself to go back out into that world. You know what I'm saying? So to see people just genuinely enjoying themselves, whether that's ass shaking or not, hands in the air, people, I actually do love when people know the words to a song. I love cutting music off and letting people, like, that feels like it's my concert. I don't care who wrote the song. I don't care who performs it on stages and at festivals. But as soon as I press the button and every word to this, I'm cutting it off and I'm letting y'all sing it. And I probably might not cut it back on, depending on how I feel. So, yeah.
No, that's what's up. One last quick question before we go. It's all types of artists who have really specific asks when they go on tour. So I'm creating a hypothetical situation for you. It's Las Vegas. They call you up out the blue. They say, DJ Cymba, we need you. What's it going to take for you to get there? We're going to pay for your flight. We're going to pay for your hotel room. But you got 3 things additionally that you got to have to perform. And they will get you anything. If you want an elephant, they will get you an elephant. What are you picking? 3 things.
Yo, these are amazing questions. I've never sat in my own space to even think about a hypothetical like that. So 3 things: a 50 pan of lemon pepper wings,
Bam,
specifically from Sharks. And it got to be the Sharks on 35th because, every Sharks is different. So a 50 pan, heavy lemon pepper wings. Wow, a jacuzzi. Get a jacuzzi.
Yep.
We in Las Vegas, so why not? Y'all got it. And man, this is tough. Wow, I am beating myself right now. I don't know what that 3rd thing would be like.
Is it the apple crown? Is it the black and mild behind the ear? You got a lot of iconic looks, man.
I wanted to say liquor earlier, but moderation. I'm slowing down.
I want to say open tab. Yeah.
Open tab. Let's say open tab.
Unlimited open tab. Yeah.
That's probably the best. Just in case I decide not to drink, it's still beneficial for everybody involved. But like we got to slow down on the liquor. I feel like 90% of the people that I've met in the entire time that I've been DJing, I met them drunk. So
sounds about right. DJ Cymba of Huey, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Weekend at Gabe's. You can find him at Pitchfork Friday night. Is that when Mother Nature is going live?
Absolutely. I just had it pulled up, and Instagram loves to like refresh once you had something up. But yes, Pitchfork after party, Mother Nature, I believe is Divino Nino, and it's at Empty Bottle. I want to say 10 o'clock Friday.
All right. That is the place to be. Thank you so much for giving us your time, sharing us your stories. You're fantastic. So we really appreciate you gracing us with your presence.
Man, thank y'all, yo. It's not, I can fully say that the conversation that I have with other artists, it mainly be like, man, don't nobody want to do an interview, and y'all asking the basic question. Y'all really are amazing interviewers. So like, thank you.
We appreciate that. We feed off water and compliments, so just keep feeding us that. We'll be all right.
Hey,
All right.
Water.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have a great weekend at Pitchfork.
No, for sure, man. I hope. I know you spoke earlier, saying you probably wasn't feeling the top or the best. But I'm speaking of speedy recovery for you and your family as well.
I appreciate that so much. I'll be all right, man. Listen, I got a room full of internet, computer, TV, a Nintendo. I mean,
he might even read one of those goddamn books he has on that shelf behind him. Who knows? He could get wild. You never know.
What is it? The one right there with the Nipsey and then Aaliyah's.
I'm like, yo, is that Nip behind you? That's crazy.
It is. All right, we got a race, but thank you so much, Cymba, for joining us. Have a great night.
For sure. Thank y'all.
DJ Cymba joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's. Fantastic. I love when people love being on the show and giving us compliments and letting us know that we're doing our job.
That's all we can ask for, baby. DJ Week rounds out, but we got another big guest coming up, Gabe. So let's reset.
Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's. Click on any of the links swirling around my head and also hit the subscribe button while you're here. Thanks for checking out us here on YouTube.